Welcome, I'm Kinetic Symphony. This is Dave. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the supernatural. Case file number 1752, written by Momentsofzen. Unseen Hand, The Card's Command. It was an average Monday, and I had just finished vacuuming the house where I live alone. I carried the vacuum down the hallway to put it away in the spare bedroom, then grabbed a duster and started dusting. Now, in the spare bedroom's closet, there is a hatch in the ceiling that leads, presumably, to some sort of insulation space. I had lived in the house for only a few months at that point, and there had only been some odd occurrences that had made me wonder, jokingly, if there was somebody living up there, crawl space style, coming down at night to mess with things. So on this particular day, I decided to see. I shouted at the hatch, things like, "Hey, I know you're up there," and "Come out here, don't make me come get you." I finished up with, "I'm going to count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. And at that point, I decided this wasn't worth it and went back to dusting. Then I stepped back into the hallway I had just walked through not 60 seconds before, and there was a playing card. Just a single playing card. Face down on the floor, lying on top of an Ethernet cord I had stretched down the hallway, and it definitely hadn't been there before. I picked it up and turned it over. It was a 4 of hearts. To this day, I have no idea how it got there. It freaked me out badly enough that I grabbed a weapon and searched the whole house. Found nothing, of course, but I have no realistic theories. There's no furniture in the hallway for it to have fallen from. I don't think it could have fallen from the vacuum, since I'd used it many times. There's no way a playing card could have been stuck inside, without it getting mangled or at least dirty. There was a painting hanging nearby that I had been messing with earlier that day, but again, no physical place on it for a card to be stuck. I did recognize the card though. It's from a deck that I owned, but hadn't used in a long time, which was safely inside a magnetically closed box, under another box. Inside that very closet where I'd just been yelling at the ceiling. But how one single card could have made its way out and onto the floor, in the brief time between when it wasn't there and then suddenly was? I'm usually pretty good at rationalizing weird things, but this time, I just got nothing. Case answer file 1752. Unseen Hand, The Card's Command. A spirit probably inhabits your attic or your whole home, maybe not limited to the attic, but I was thinking of Gambit as a spirit. If you had an obsession with cards, you had superpowers, and then you die, well, you'd probably bring over those cards with you, or at least try to. Maybe that's the case in this situation, where the spirit was trying to bring up cards, and then you were shouting at it, and then it just wanted to "Hey, yeah, I'm here, don't freak out, here's a card," related to what you were talking about, number 4. Maybe if it had been number 5, the number that you had not mentioned that was in the series, well, that could have been even more notable, but still, pretty interesting. Case file number 1753, written by Ishiki and Aruji. Sunny Day Twist, Reality Dismissed. So yeah, I wouldn't even say it was the sun. In fact, it definitely was not the sun. This was more like someone hit a switch on reality for just a second, half a second. And for context, I was in my living room with my girlfriend, and my dog just in the other room. I was reciting song lyrics to my dog as I was standing basically between rooms, and I get halfway through what I'm saying to my dog, and click, but it wasn't a noise. It was even more quiet than before, but literally for half a second. I pretty much instantly looked over to my girlfriend. Before I can even say anything, she asked me if I just saw that too. Now, crazy part is, this has actually happened to me about 2 other times I can remember. One about a year ago, but I summed it up to my eyes playing tricks on me. Another time as a kid, that I can only vaguely remember. I looked at other stories about the same thing happening, and people say mini strokes or maybe you just blinked. But for me and my girlfriend in the same room to experience this at the same time just makes 0 sense. I highly doubt we both had mini strokes simultaneously. And also, I highly doubt we both mistaken something as instinctual and common as blinking for our reality blinking off for half a second. Oh yeah, this was a very sunny day, and there was literally only natural light filling up the room. Not a single artificial light was on. Caissons file 1753. Sunny day twist. Reality dismissed. Yeah, agreed, it's not the sun. Has nothing to do with the sun at all. It's a local server cluster that is failing. And I think server clusters are responsible for different areas of the world that is simulated. Volumes of space, as we would call it. Space-time, in fact. So if an entire cluster goes out, well, for us, we just see it as a blip. In the real world, maybe it could take hours or something to fix, or maybe it is instantaneous. Maybe there is a time relation 1-to-1 between the simulation and the real world. It's just that it's automated. So another server cluster takes over, but there's a split second where we notice that something is wrong because nothing is processing. But yeah, as to it being a small stroke, there's no way. Is there anything in the world that is able to induce a stroke precisely at that time in multiple people at the same time in the same area? I don't think there's anything that can possibly do that, is there? And certainly nothing that was in your environment. And if it was, it would happen again and again, wouldn't it? So no, a simultaneous stroke, there's no way. If it was just you, well, even then I would discount it because of all the stories I've read in the past like this, but, you know, I could understand people saying it could be a medical-related issue, but in this case, no. If two people have the same exact experience at the same moment, and without telling each other, there's no priming or anything like that, like, oh, this might happen sometime. No. This happened entirely organically to both of you simultaneously. So it really did happen. It's not a hallucination. It's not a stroke. It's a server having a stroke. There you go. Case file number 1754. Written by Manymoonslenore. Destiny's Play from then to today. One of my earliest memories is being in a Blockbuster looking at the back wall of a new release. I was there with a bunch of teammates for a slumber party a few towns over. I was looking at the wall of movies. Suddenly had this weird déjà vu feeling that the boy standing next to me was going to come up and talk to me and tell me about a movie I was watching. I hadn't seen his face yet in real life, but I saw it in the vision, if you will. After the déjà vu passed, the boy turned and did exactly that. His face was the same as what I had just seen in my head. He picked up a movie that had Rosie O'Donnell on the cover and told me that I should check out that one because he saw it the weekend before and it was really good. He was a few years older than me and really cute. So of course I grabbed it from his hand and said a quick thanks and ran to my friends, completely freaked out at what just happened. I never had déjà vu or anything like that happen again. Fast forward 12 years later, and I was standing in the same Blockbuster with my then boyfriend, who I met in college. He had grown up in that same town, and I was spending the night for the first time at his parents' house. We had been dating for a little over a year at that time. We were browsing together and trying to agree on a movie. He started telling me the story of how he scared a little girl while trying to be nice at the same Blockbuster when he was younger. I immediately had a weird fuzzy feeling and asked him if the movie had Rosie O'Donnell on the cover. And he looked at me, freaked out, and said yes it did. After a "there is no way that's possible" discussion in the aisles of Blockbuster, we got our movie and left, thinking maybe it was just a weird coincidence, because of course it had to be. When I walked into his parents' house, I saw that his mom had gotten out old photo albums for me to see, and sure enough, there was the same boy I saw in that Blockbuster. We looked up the Rosie O'Donnell movie that night, and it was the same cover we both remembered. We've been married for 15 years and have 4 kids together. Beautiful. Caissons file 1754. Destiny's Play from then to today. So you both have probably the best How We Met story that I've ever read. How I Met Your Mother. Well, I think this surpasses that, even though it's much shorter. Now, is it fate, destiny, something like that? I think it's just a strong link. And when souls are meant to be together, I don't believe there's just one, then those souls can infuse themselves in the environment and pull out information that the other might not be consciously aware of. So even as children, and I think the child's mind is more prone to these influences from the deeper soul, they can play host to stuff like that. And they were certainly right in this case, together for that long, having children together. It's just such a great story. I love it. Now time for the quote of the day. The more technology you use, the easier it is for them to keep tabs on you. Brill, from Enemy of the State. A good classic movie, speaking of the dangers that are especially expressed today With the surveillance apparatus that we have to live under, it's hard to have any privacy these days. But then again, it's the digital world. If you're putting yourself out there, how can you have privacy? Unless you're completely anonymous, maybe it simply is not possible anymore. Kind of a spooky thought. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.